And to talk more about the obsession with 2016, I am joined now by Lee Camp, comedian, activist, and host of Moment of Clarity. Lee, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Amira, how you doing?
Very good. So why is the media already so obsessed with an election that hasn't even started?
Because they're lazy and it's meaningless. And I mean, honestly, it's like you might as well turn on the news and they say, hey, we're going to cover the Green Bay Packers again. We're just going to show you the Green Bay Packers for the next 2 hours. That would have as much importance in terms of what's actually happening in the world. I mean, honestly, it's you know how a magician does a trick, right? He does this with one hand, distracts you, and then with the other, he's grabbing your wallet. So while we're all looking over here, you look back and your house is foreclosed on and your daughter's knocked up.
Well, is there any benefit to the public from this coverage? I think I kind of already know the answer to that question.
Yeah, it gives us important news stories we need to know, like this Hillary Clinton person you mentioned. I hadn't heard of her, but now I'm learning a little something. No, in fact, every moment of Hillary Clinton's life has been covered for the past 30 years. There's more written about her than on the Civil War. What could they possibly be telling us that's useful at this point? It's utterly meaningless.
So we're not really learning too much from the constant, incessant news coverage. So, Lee, what stories aren't being told so that, of course, there's enough room to report the latest and the greatest on the 2016 campaign?
Yeah, exactly. That's the true story. While they're telling us about what came out of Chris Christie's face hole, we're missing the fact that, you know, the Japanese are trying to make sure the Pacific Ocean doesn't become glow in the dark using duct tape and silly putty. Like that's not being discussed. The massive walkout during the climate change summit. You know, I was just in Illinois where it was in the middle of those hurricanes. I saw semi-trucks flipped over. Like, that's not being talked about enough. But meanwhile,
come on, Lee, that's
we know
not
what
important.
happened.
We know that's none of that news is actually important. Come on. Well, since
and they.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say they also, it's also a story as if it's black and white with these two candidates, whatever it ends up being, whatever for any presidential race, as if, oh, it's the good side and the bad side, it's Batman and Joker. Yeah, it would be Batman and Joker if Batman and Joker agreed on 90% of the structural issues that this country has to do with. It's the same corporate-owned employees running for office, and we're told like it's dark and light.
And Lee, since everyone else is speculating, why don't you give me some of your thoughts on some of the current front runners? I'm sure you have something to say about them.
There's no current front runners. That's like saying, you know, that's like you're betting on a horse race and you're watching the horses as they come out of the womb, going, oh, that one looks like he's going to be doing pretty well.
Wait, so you don't trust those polls? You're saying you don't trust those polls?
What's that?
You're saying you don't trust those polls then, huh?
I don't even know who has an opinion right now. I can't even imagine, honestly. The opinion should be, hey, I don't want one of the two corporate candidates. Like, that should be at the top of the polls. Honestly, it's like judging the most beautiful butterfly by looking at the maggots. And I don't think maggots become butterflies, but still, if they did, that'd be a perfect analogy.
Great analogy, Lee. Thank you so much for all your wonderful insight, comedian, activist, Lee Camp, and host of Moment of Clarity. Thanks for the moment of levity.
Thanks, Amira.